Alright guys, welcome to the Tuesday Directions video. And today we're again going to focus on key pieces of religion and key pieces of culture, excuse me. And one of those key pieces being religion. Obviously this was a major focus in yesterday's kind of worksheet. So today we're going to kind of slow it down and go over some of the key aspects of all these religions. Alright, this PowerPoint has a lot of, I would say, extra information that we're not going to use in the quiz, and just extra information that the general public does not really know about specific religions. So I'm going to kind of cover the basics here, so we're going to be kind of skipping through. That's okay. I encourage you to take notes in a notebook because you can use your notes on the quiz. So everything you have in your notebook you can use. So I would encourage you to jot down a lot of the stuff. So let's kind of just dive into it here. Again, covering culture, and this is one of the key pieces of it, religion. All right, so let's look at all of them here. Okay, you guys can take a look at the maps. I'll have the PowerPoint in our in the Google Classroom as well. So if you're curious, you can kind of see where each religion kind of has a foothold. All right, so here's by the numbers. Christianity being the most at 1.9 billion. You can kind of read through it. And Judaism, or the Jewish faith, by far the lowest with 13 million. All right, so again, if we're going to break it down to pie graph. But all right, Christianity, I think we all are very familiar with it. It has its big foothold, obviously, in North America, and especially where we live, Park Rapids. I feel like it's all over the place. All right. So again, I just encourage you to kind of jot this stuff down, that if you did not know it. But for the most part, we're just going to kind of go through it pretty quickly. Believe that Jesus was the Son of God who came and died of people's sins and then rose so that all people could be saved. It's a monotheistic religion, and monotheistic should be a word that you know. It just means you believe in one God. So mono, uno, okay, monotheistic, believe in one God. We'll look at other religions where they are polytheistic, and that just means they believe in multiple gods. All right, and Christianity originally developed as a part of Judaism, so it's kind of a little spin-off from the Jewish faith. And again, important holidays, important days, Christmas coming up, Easter, Good Friday. I think we have a good idea of Christianity. So let's kind of skip through it here and look at Judaism. Okay. Now, one of the quiz questions is, what's the oldest religion? Okay. What's the oldest religion and what's the smallest religion? So we want to know that Judaism is one of the smallest and one of the oldest. All right. So being a part of the Jewish community and living one's life according to Jewish law and traditions is very important. So they're very stuck in their ways. Their fundamentals of their religion haven't really changed in a long time. Okay, so the tradition kind of has been passed down from generation to generation. Again, there is a single all-powerful God who created the universe and everything in it. God has a special relationship with the Jewish people due to the covenant that God and Moses made years ago. All right, so that's kind of the origin story, right? Moses makes a covenant with God, and a covenant is more of like a binding agreement between the two. All right. The Jewish place of worship, we call that a synagogue. And the leader of the Jewish religion is called a rabbi. But a little bit different is that the rabbi, as you can kind of read here, doesn't really have any special religious status, just more as a leader in the community. All right, holy days would be, obviously the Sabbath, Yom Kippur, right here, a day of fasting and praying which occurs 10 days after the first day of Rosh Hashanah, the holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur, Hanukkah, another important date. But I think we all kind of know Hanukkah at least. All right, and we're just going to kind of skip through the rest of these. They're not really widely known, I feel like. But if I was going to ask you what would be the symbol of the Jewish faith, the Star of David we have to know. And obviously it's on the flag of Israel, which is the major hub of the Jewish faith. Moving on to Islam. Islam is the world's second most followed religion behind Christianity. It began a long time ago, but swiftly became a world faith and now has around 1.2 billion followers. All right, Islam is an Arabic word which means surrendering oneself to the will of God. So we'll see that theme come up a lot and a lot. Here we go. So the system of belief. So we're going to kind of get to that too, but let's kind of just read through this real quick. So the faith provides a social and legal system and governs things like family life, law and order, ethics, dress, cleanliness, a bunch of different things. But we just want to know that Islamic law carries over greatly into the person's personal life. All right, obviously it's going to dictate what you can wear, what kind of foods you can eat. All right, what things you can do, what things you can't do. All right, so Islam, especially from a religious point of view, controls a lot or dictates a lot of a person's life. All right. So where is Islam practiced? I think we all kind of know. The key areas would probably be considered like the Middle East, because a large percentage of the people living there are Muslim, who are people who follow Islam. But some of the larger areas are kind of places that people probably don't really recognize, like Indonesia, and that just comes from how many people just happen to live there. All right, like India, for example. There's so many people living in India that a small percentage of them follow Islam, but since there's so many, the general number is still pretty massive, as you can see there. All right. Islam has 3 holy places: the city of Mecca, the city of Medina, and Jerusalem. All are in the Middle East, and that comes from the origin story of the Prophet Muhammad, and we're not going to talk too much about that, but that's just kind of where the basis is. We're just going to kind of roll through here. So here's some things we got to know, all right? So it is based on the ministry of a man named Muhammad, on the words that Allah gave the world through him. So Muhammad is the messenger here, okay? He speaks with Allah, or God, and then he transfers the message forward. All right, so Muhammad did not found Islam. Islam was created by Allah at the beginning of time, and in fact, Muslims regard Adam as the first Muslim, and we'll kind of move through that a little bit later. Muhammad was the final messenger through whom Allah revealed the faith to the world. There had been earlier messengers among them: Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, but Muhammad was the one that stuck through. Now, one of the key pieces of Islam is we want to know that there's the 5 pillars of Islam, okay, or the pillars of Islam. This is the backbone of the structure of the entire religion, okay? Some of these are like ideas or maybe philosophy type stuff. But others are actually like activities and things that you should be trying to do. So we'll kind of look through this. So the first pillar is witness, okay? The profession of the faith. All right, I witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is the prophet of Allah. So it's kind of you giving yourself to Allah. That's the first part, right? Kind of giving yourself to the religion. The second part is a daily prayer. As a prayer ritual performed 5 times a day by all Muslims over the age of 10. And again, you can kind of read through the different pieces, but daily prayer is one of them. Another is fasting during the phase of Ramadan, or the time of year called Ramadan. And this might be more of a popular thing that you guys know more about. But as you kind of go through here and read it, it involves abstaining from all bodily pleasures between dawn and sunset. Not only is food forbidden, but also things like smoking, chewing gum, negative thoughts, and sexual activities. So it's really just trying to abstain from everything for the most part. Very challenging. One of my good buddies in high school was Muslim, and during the time of Ramadan, it was a very tough time for him in sports, because obviously he couldn't really eat during the day. So it's tough to kind of get your body moving and your body fueled for your activities. So he definitely was at a disadvantage during that time period, but he stuck to it, right? Stuck to his faith. Number 4, it's called alms giving. And giving alms to the poor, as you guys can read here, this is a compulsory gift of 2.5% of one's savings each year. So you're going to give 2.5% of whatever you have saved to the poor for the most part. And this is more of a community building aspect of it. Okay, if every person is going to give 2.5% of their savings each year to the poor, well, obviously we're hopefully going to stem poverty a little bit and all the stuff that comes with poverty, right? Like crime, right? Stealing and different things like that. So this is just another way of almsgiving, and just trying to build the community up through giving. All right. Number 4 is the Hajj, is the pilgrimage to Mecca. It's called the Hajj. Basically, if you are financially able and you're physically able, you are encouraged to travel to Mecca, right, the hub of the Islam faith. Your job is to travel there at least once, okay? If you're able. If not, whatever, okay? But it's mainly meant for people who are able. And because of that, we get images like this at Mecca, where you get a bunch of people together each time. And again, obviously, it's super spiritual for them, and people, this is what it looks like every single time. It's pretty crazy. All right. The Quran is the holy book of the Islamic faith. I think a lot of people knew that. The two major things that are different or maybe interesting about Islam is that they've kind of split into factors or sections. We have the Sunni and the Shiite. Think of it like Catholic and Protestant, I guess you could say. There's two. They're very similar, but they have a couple of big differences. But with the Sunni and the Shiites, though, in the Middle East especially, a lot of this split in different thought leads to war and conflict. Okay. The next one is Hinduism, and this includes a wide variety of beliefs and practices. There aren't many things that are common in all Hindu groups. Hinduism has no founder, no single book, nothing. Okay, so it's very individualistic. All right, and it says right here, very individualistic, but a big part of the person's everyday life. There are 750 million Hindus in the world, mostly in India. All right. For many Hindus, the religion is a matter of practice rather than belief. So it's kind of walking the walk rather than talking the talk. All right. And the whole thing is trying to get your karma. Okay, you want to do good things to get your karma because they believe in a cycle of rebirth. All right. And so you'll be reborn as something better if you do good things. You'll be reborn as something bad if you do bad things. And if you do enough good, you'll be able to get away from this kind of system, and you'll hit moksha, which kind of breaks you free from the cycle of rebirth. And again, you guys can just read through this. They have the three main gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. You guys can read a little more about that. We're kind of running out of time here, so we're going to go through Buddhism pretty quickly. All right, so Buddhism is founded, it's our last one. It's founded in India around 500 BC by Gautama. He became the Buddha, or the Enlightened One, when he was 29. His main teaching was to eliminate human wants and desires, because the world is full of sacrifice or suffering, and the best way to stop the suffering is to stop your desires. There's really no unique creed, no single authority, no single book. Okay, Buddhism focuses on individuals seeking to attain enlightenment. The key beliefs and values that are contained in the Four Noble Truths. And so there's the Four Noble Truths, and then there's the Eightfold Path. Those are the important things, that kind of the key aspects of the religion. So number one, the first noble truth is that life means suffering. Second, the origin of suffering is attachment to worldly things. The end to suffering is attainable through eliminating physical wants and needs. And the fourth one is the path to the end of suffering and achieve nirvana is to follow the Eightfold Path. So nirvana and moksha from the Hinduism are very similar. Okay, it's all about trying to break free from, in Hinduism it's the caste system, I should say, and with Buddhism it's the rebirth cycle. All right, so the Eightfold Path, you guys can kind of read through it here. To follow the path, you're going to have the right view, which means this, right? You're going to have the right attention, the right speech, the right action, the right livelihood, the right effort, the right mindfulness, the right concentration. All right, all these are the big, I guess, teaching points that the religion wants to bestow upon its followers. And you guys can kind of read through them here. Kind of the different, I would say suggestions more than anything with Buddhism, right? If you want to hit nirvana, if you want to hit our ultimate goal, here's the ways you can do it. And it kind of lays it out here. And they're pretty, I would say, they're not like very specific for the most part, right? They can be seen and used in different aspects. And that's the nice thing about it. But we're 15 seconds away from the timer going off, guys. Let me know if it's too fast. I can do 2-part videos. But that's basically, guys, take notes on all these. And I will see you guys tomorrow.